Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining Respus Live. Thank you so much for joining Respus Live. Good evening. So tonight we're going to be talking about walking into your blessings. But before we get started, I want you to actually start a watch party, if you would, please. If you would start a watch party, that means just share it at the very bottom so that we can invite our friends to watch with us on tonight. If you would start a watch party, thank you so much. I do want to give a shout out to our new sponsors, Cumberland County Christian School in Fayetteville, North Carolina, where the owners are my brother, James Respus, and his beautiful wife, Dr. Jessica Respus. We'd like to thank them for sponsoring Respus Live. Again, we want to shout out our new sponsor, Cumberland County Christian School. And so I often say, and one of my favorite hashtags on Facebook is love is powerful. And the reason why I say that is because it is really a powerful force. So I say that tonight because our guest was Commissioner Jonathan Barfield, and we actually postponed the show until 7:15. So thank you all for being patient with us on tonight as we kind of waited for him to get out of his meetings. But unfortunately, due to circumstances that he was out of control, unfortunately, he's not going to be able to make it. And so every Monday, typically Danielle is in the studio with me, Danielle Glaze. And so when I say love is powerful, she's in the seat now. So we're doing this like straight off the cuff. She's filling in for Mr. Barfield, Commissioner Barfield, and we totally understand, meetings happen, things happen. So if you would please just share this video, and we're just going to have some girl talk, and we're going to talk about walking into our blessings, walking into your blessings. And I am sure that we are not the only two that has been able to walk into our blessings, and we're inclined that there are more to come. Amen. However, this was like an unexpected show tonight, so I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm sure that we'll be able to bless someone before we're done with the broadcast. So again, it's walking into your blessings, and I want to encourage you, if you're watching, that you have been blessed. We all are. And it is imperative for us to walk into it. We have to receive it. We have to own it and just walk into it. We have to be brave, take that step of faith, that leap of faith. It's like walking and not knowing what's around the corner, or not really understanding if there is a staircase in whatever direction we're going. So we're going to talk about walking into our blessings. So Respus Live, let's welcome our special guest on tonight, Danielle Glaze. Danielle, hi. Thank you so much for joining in. I was like, now, Danielle, I understand if you don't want to stand in, but it's my sister. And like I said, she's here every Monday, and typically she coaches me while I am on live. So I'm like, well, who's going to coach me tonight since you're sitting here? So this is going to be interesting for the both of us.
We got it.
So every Monday she's here faithfully just coaching me as we go through the show with suggestions, or maybe to slow down and things of that nature. So it is good to have her here on tonight as our special guest. But again, I don't know who's going to coach me tonight. So by the way, you can actually leave me a comment down if you have any ideas for me or suggestions. So again, we're talking about walking into your blessings, And we do like to thank the ones that are signing on tonight. I was just actually trying to see Kim. Hey, Kimberly. Thank you so much for joining us. Angela Halls Henry, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you guys holding on for us until 7:15. Again, we apologize. Commissioner Barfield was in a meeting. He could not get out. He tried so hard, but we will have him back because he has a powerful story. We wanted to talk about addiction and how it has taken the lives of so many, but we have a successful story with his daughter. So we will have him back on when his schedule permits. So in the meantime, we're going to speak about walking into your blessings with our guest, Danielle Glaze. Yes. Welcome, Danielle, to Respus Live. Now you're actually in front of the camera.
I know.
Well, typically you're behind the camera.
Yes.
So thank you, Chrisilla, for signing on. So how does it feel to be in front of the camera without any preparations whatsoever?
Hey, this is what happens when you walk into your blessings.
Absolutely.
The Lord will set up opportunities where you don't even expect them to happen.
Absolutely.
And so if you trust him, and if you trust what's in you, you just step right in and say, all right, God, now don't make yourself look bad.
Absolutely. So speaking of walking into our blessings, you have had something amazing to happen to you this year. You have actually walked into a blessing by becoming the first female pastor for the Middle District Association.
Absolutely.
I grew up in Middle District. I've been in Middle District all of my life. I mean, literally grew up. And I didn't see a lot of women, actually didn't see many women at all, because unfortunately back then we were taught that, women are to be seen and not heard, and we were not to be, spoken out or outspoken. So it is really refreshing, to say the least, to be in an association all of my life and then see one of my dear friends become the very first female pastor. So talking about walking into a blessing, it's miraculous.
Absolutely.
You just crash the ceiling.
Absolutely.
There is no ceiling. And so you walk into this new position as a pastor, but had no idea that you would be shattering years and years and years of tradition.
Certainly not at all.
Yes.
And I think it is the epitome of the definition of a blessing, because a blessing is something that is a gift. It's ordered and ordained by God. He gives it to you. You can't make it happen. Because I know I did the training, I went to school, I put in the time and everything else, but I couldn't make this happen. So it is indeed a blessing. And it wasn't one that I was looking for. It wasn't one that I had prayed for. And it wasn't one that I was expecting. So oftentimes the Lord will bless you unexpectedly and in surprising ways. And he also will bless you in ways that cause me personally say, Lord, I wish you wouldn't trust me so much.
I understand. So tell me now, historically, you walk into this position as the first female pastor. What type of pressure is that?
There is so much. There's the typical pastoral pressure of studying to give a word to the people who will encourage them or help them to see God in a new light, or to know that God is there for them. So there are the typical pressures of being a pastor, but then of being the first one of any kind, being this age and being a female, is considerably different. I mean, they're just basic practical things that I have to deal with, like, what am I going to wear? How will this look? Will this be a distraction? Or any of those things. Whereas I don't think men have to think about that. They put on a suit, they change the shirt or the tie, they keep it rolling. But I have to consider the dress. I have to consider the length. I have to consider how it fits me or doesn't fit me. And I'm of the age now where wearing a robe every Sunday is not an option, because they are too hot. So there are a lot of pressures, but then there aren't any pressures. There are freedoms, because I'm the first one. I get to kind of dictate or develop what it looks like to be a female pastor.
So in other words, you get to kind of pave the road as to you want to set the standards for what you consider a female pastor.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and understanding the dress code thing it is something to take in consideration. Even as being a female minister,
yes.
I have to consider that as well. And I probably push the envelope more than anybody I know. I don't know, but I'm fine with it because I'm comfortable with who I am, and I don't have to fit in that. But when you become a pastor, you have to look at things differently, because there are so many people that you are the under shepherd of the church, but you oversee them.
Absolutely.
So you want to make sure that you set a trend that you want them to follow as well. And like with me, since I turned 40, I don't like to wear sleeves even in the wintertime, because as we begin to grow older, things happen, and so there's a lot of things that you want to wear that's comfortable, and things that you want to be cool.
Yes.
Because people don't realize this, but when you preach, from what I've been told, it equals up to an 8-hour shift.
Yes.
So I mean, you exert so much energy when you preach, and I don't know if people understand that. Or because sometimes we make it look easy by speaking in public and preaching, but
Absolutely.
It takes a lot of energy out of you, and most of the time when you're finished, you're so exhausted you just want to go somewhere and sit down.
Yes, I told someone today it felt like I had been in a boxing match yesterday.
Wow.
And it often carries over into the next day, because going from preacher to pastor, not only are you preaching, but then you are shepherding people while you preach. And then you're being the pastor after you preach. Gotcha. And then you're counseling and you're caring for people after you preach. So you don't get to preach and sit down as the pastor. And then the other thing that just tickles me and I've been so excited about is there are so many little girls, teenage girls, young adult women in the church who they look at me and they're like, our pastor rocks. And so to see, because I didn't grow up with that. I didn't grow up going to church on a regular basis. So oftentimes when I tell people that I didn't grow up in church, people are looking like, but you're a pastor. We went to church here and there.
Right.
Okay. I didn't grow up in church. I remember the first time I went to Sunday school as a kid, and I just felt like a fish out of water because the kids were quoting scriptures and knew the books of the Bible, and I had no idea what they were talking about. And so to think about the fact that I didn't grow up in church, I didn't see women as ministers, women as teachers, or any of those things. And now to have the Lord to bless me, to use me in this capacity, and to see all those little girls and all those young ladies sitting out there, and they're the first ones to charge me after service, and they come and they hug me and they want to talk about the sermon and those kinds of things. And so it's a blessing. There's pressure, but there's also excitement. And then there's such a level of humility to go, wow, God, really?
Yeah.
You want to use me for this? Me?
Yeah.
Because I know me.
Definitely.
And God knows me. And he's using me anyway.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. It is definitely something that I'm sure God had to direct you into doing, because you know, people say, well, you're going to be next. I say, oh, no, I'm not. That's a negative. You know, I have no desire. I have no desire whatsoever to pastor. And I understand what goes along with that, because my ex-husband at the time when we were married was a pastor. And at that time he pastored 2 churches, and then basically toward the end of our marriage, 1. And so I had the opportunity to see that behind the scene. And, you know, if you're married to a person, whatever they do as one, you become it. So I didn't become a pastor, but I did understand what went along with being a pastor, the long hours and the midnight calls and going to meetings and then dealing with people in different walks of life. And, you know, and it's a lot of responsibility. So that is something that I definitely do not want to do. So I understand that this was nothing that you wanted to do.
No, ma'am.
Because anyone that understands the call and the importance of it and the responsibility that comes along with it, I'm sure there's nothing they would want to do, not being in their right mind, wanting to do something that's so challenging. But you make it look good, and you do it well. And I'm grateful that I've had the opportunity to see history right before my eyes in the association that I grew up in, and it is truly a blessing. So not only that, you've walked into so many other blessings. We do it all the time. And just like Respus Live is kind of like me walking into a blessing.
Yes.
As I shared before, you know, when Jamie approached me, I was like, I don't know. Now, you know, I love to talk because you and I have been talking for years. We've been friends for years. And we talk on a regular basis. And I like talking to people that I know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so people that I don't know, I can be cordial and briefly say, how are you? I'm good. Thank you. And keep going. But as far as talking on a talk show, I'm like, you know, Jamie, I don't know if you got the right person. He was like, oh, yeah, I've watched you. You're the right person. I was like, okay, we'll see about this. And so once I started it, I was like, well, maybe this is something that I'm supposed to do at this point in my life.
Absolutely.
The thing that has been refreshing and most rewarding is after a show to get a text from someone and say, that really blessed me and that really helped me. So that was kind of like my confirmation that I'm doing the right thing at the right time. And I don't know the end result of this.
Right.
And I'm okay with whatever it is.
Absolutely.
But for this moment, I do try my best to give it my all and to walk into my blessings. And so I'm a firm believer. Thank you so much, Phyllis, for signing on. Thank you, Nicole Stokes, for telling us that there's a disconnection. And I'm not sure what it is. I'm not sure if it's the Wi-Fi, but please hang on with us. We're working through it. Thank you, Nicole Stokes. But walking into your blessings. You know, there's so many of the times that we have blessings, but we're afraid of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You could have been afraid to become the first female pastor.
Absolutely.
I could have been afraid, which I was, and not follow through being on this talk show. So what was it about you that knew that this was your season, this was your time, and this is what God wanted you to do?
Well, it started before this. I would say it started almost a year to the day to today. I had been serving in Macedonia, as I shared a couple of weeks ago. Excellent proving ground, excellent training ground. But just as when God called me to Macedonia and teaching his word, I was in that same place again where there was instability on the inside. There was a stirring. There was I know there is something else. I couldn't define what the something else was, but it wouldn't leave me alone. And then oftentimes walking into your blessing means stepping out into nothing.
Wow.
Ridiculous and radical faith. And so I called it my Abraham moment. Because God told Abraham, I want you to get up from everything you know.
Wow.
Everybody you know, your security, everything that you own. And I want you to go to a place I'll tell you. And so oftentimes when people asked me, and they were, well, what are you going to do? Where are you going? I don't know. But there was such an amazing peace. I think more peace than I've ever had in my entire life. And me, the planner, the organizer, the one who makes sure everything is covered, to step out and say, I'm stepping out on nothing.
Wow.
No promised job. I don't know where the income is going to come from or anything. And so stepping into your blessing, there is a precursor that requires a radical step of faith. And then the blessing is lined up. But if you don't step out on faith, the blessing stays right there waiting on you. And so even after I did that, and as soon as I did that, it's amazing how I say doors and windows started flinging open for me to use my gifts of teaching and preaching. And at that point, I was like, well, I like this. This is good. I can be an interim pastor. I'll just go in and fill in and preach until folks find a pastor. That was my thought.
Right.
I was like, I can live the rest of my life doing this, and this will be wonderful. Go in and preach and
go
love
home.
on them and leave.
Yes.
And when First Baptist Church of Teachie opened up their application time, every Sunday they would say, well, Pastor, are you going to apply? And that was the funny thing. I think after about the second time I went, they would address me as pastor, and I would correct them. I would say, oh, no, it's Reverend. And they go, yeah, we know, Pastor. And so every Sunday I preached in March, they would say, well, Pastor, why haven't you given us your application? And I was, and I'd look at them and smile, and I'd say, I'm praying. But honestly, I wasn't praying, because I was like, I don't want to be nobody pastor. I'm not. I'm not doing this. And so I think the second Sunday of March, I was like, well, maybe I should at least start praying.
Right.
And I said, well, Lord, I know there's a stirring. And I know that you called me to step out for a reason. I wasn't looking for this. I didn't imagine this. But it keeps hitting me in the face. So you show me what to do.
Right.
And then I think just like Christina, and I know Camille and Daniel, God knows his children.
Absolutely.
And I've always been one of those, he has to tell me something 3 times before I finally say yes. So I'm a little stubborn. And so it was really the 9th hour, the last Sunday, the last day before the application process closed, before I gave them my application.
I understand not wanting to, but understanding that it is your time and your season to walk into it. And so for someone out there, you may be the first, or you may be the second, or there may be thousands of others just doing what you're doing, but or attempting to do, or you're called to do, but you still have to walk out in your blessings, walk into your blessings and receive them. We have to understand that the blessings are there, but it is our decision to walk into them. We have to get up and go get it. The last sermon I preached was actually at your church. I filled in for you, and it was it's time to get up.
It's time to get up.
And so it's time to get up. It is time for us to get up. It is time for us to know what our blessings are, know what our gifts are.
Yes.
And it's time for us to get up and go get it.
Yes.
We can't wait for someone to bring it to us.
No.
We can't wait for someone to make a way for us.
No.
Sometimes we have to pave our own way.
Absolutely.
Sometimes we have to step out on faith. And all the time. Practically, we have
yeah.
to step out in faith, but we have to go get it. We have to go get what we know belongs to us.
Absolutely.
And understand that it's okay to do it, especially as women. You know, it is okay for us to go after and go get what we know belongs to us.
Unapologetically, yes.
Unapologetically. And
Yes.
that is the key, because I remember growing up and even as an adult, like, you know, you're not supposed to say that you look nice, and you're not supposed to look in the mirror and say you look good. And so many times, you know, growing up, I shied away from that because I didn't want to receive it, because I didn't want to be vain,
Right.
or I think I, you know, was pretty and all this. And so it took me a while to embrace who I am, because that stayed in the back of my mind. That's not for you to
Absolutely.
say. That's for someone else to say. You're not supposed to say you're beautiful. Well, why not?
Right.
But that's just the way I was taught, and that's just the way. That's everything that I heard. But my grandmother used to say this, and it blessed me real good. She says, "Pretty is what pretty does," and she said you got to do pretty. I didn't understand it then, because do pretty didn't even sound like it was correct at all.
Right.
But I understood what she was saying, that it's an inner thing.
It's intrinsic.
So it's important for us to embrace who we are,
Absolutely.
who God has made us, and that we're amazing, and that we're awesome.
Yes.
And we need to surround ourselves with people that understand that.
Yes, ma'am.
Not
And aren't intimidated by it.
that is the key.
Yes.
That is the key. And as sisters, I say we're sisters. It is refreshing to know that we're not in competition with each
No,
other.
ma'am.
Danielle comes in here every Monday and sits in that chair, and she coaches me every Monday. She understands her gift as a pastor, and she understands my gift as a talk show.
Yes, ma'am.
And the Sundays that I'm at First Baptist Church teaching, hollering, "You better preach," because I understand that's your
Yes,
gift,
ma'am.
and I am here to celebrate your gift. And so it is amazing how we have learned, and it was
Yes.
progressive, to celebrate each other.
Yes.
We've
Yes.
learned to celebrate each other, and don't think that we haven't had our disagreements and we haven't
Absolutely.
fallen out.
Yes.
How long was it that we didn't talk? Was it a year?
It was probably a year.
We went
Absolutely.
a year without talking. We did a year without talking.
Now, I kept loving on Sweet Cheeks.
Yeah, that didn't change. Which
Yeah.
it shouldn't have changed. Like, you know, I kept loving on Danielle and Camille.
Yes.
But we went a year without talking
Yes.
because of a misunderstanding. And I don't even know how we started back talking, because you were reluctant about
Right.
talking with me, and I don't know how it started. But God saw fit for us to be able to talk.
Absolutely.
And we had a hard conversation.
Yes.
And it is imperative, you know, as
Yes.
friends and as women, we have to have those hard conversations.
Yes.
And so Danielle and I had a hard conversation after a year of not talking to each other. And we would speak and be cordial because we were both queens.
Yes.
And we didn't allow that
Yes.
to tilt our crown.
Yes.
And so we would speak and be cordial, but we stopped talking, and then we had that hard conversation. And after that hard conversation, we made a deal with each other.
Absolutely.
And that deal has blessed us from that
It
day to this.
has. It
And our
has.
deal was that we're not a trash can, and we don't allow anybody to dump it on us
That's right.
or to speak about each other, to each other, about each other.
Exactly.
And that really blessed us from that day to this. And so we've built an amazing friendship and sistership, and I'm grateful for the support, because
Yes, I am too.
everything that God has called me to do, as far as walking in my blessings, you've supported me. Changing my job. You know, I changed jobs after 14 years, and I took a pay cut and all this stuff. So we sat down
We did the math.
and we did the math.
And then we trusted God.
And we trusted God.
Yes,
So I was
ma'am.
like, Danielle. And so she's sitting there doing the math. She was like, go for it. You got it. So you've been a cheerleader of mine for years, and I have been your
Yes,
cheerleader for
ma'am.
years. And so
Yes.
it's easy for us to walk together in a true friendship, a genuine
Yes.
friendship, and support each other and not be intimidated.
No.
No.
Absolutely not.
I love it.
No. And the fact that, I mean, there are strengths and gifts that I have that I didn't know I have. I remember telling you once I started going, became a pastor at First Baptist, I said, Sharon, I preach different than I've ever preached before. I said, it's just so powerful. And you go, Danielle, you've always preached like that. And I was like, really? Really? I didn't know that. I didn't know that. And, you know, but it's just so many things. And the fact that you will call me and ask me anything, like I know the answer. And I was like, wow. Okay, well, let's find the answer.
I was like, hold on, let me ask Danielle. I was like, Danielle.
Right.
And I'll just ask you anything. You be like, give me a minute.
Yeah.
And you'll come up with an answer. And
Absolutely.
I'll just have enough faith to believe that it's the correct answer.
Yes, you have the confidence and the faith to know she knows what she's talking about. And I'm like, now why couldn't she Google this? Because that's what I did to get the answer. Now, if it's about a word, I usually know it. But
don't make me cut up here. Listen, and so I ask you the questions because I know you're going to find the answer, and I just go with it. I mean, I run with it like I know it's right. Yes, and so that's what sisters
well, and you
do.
know I'm not going to lead you wrong, so.
And I tell people all the time, if you're the smartest person in your group, you got to change your circle.
Yes.
You got to change your circle. So I surround myself around brilliant people that I can actually tap into their knowledge. And that's what I do. I use my resource. I utilize all of my resources. All of my friends will tell you immediately, yeah, she's going to call and ask for the question. But hey, if you have the resources, you might as well utilize them. So
absolutely.
We're walking in our blessings and we're enjoying it. We're enjoying our friendship. We're enjoying the blessings that God has for us. And I'm excited.
Yes.
I'm so excited because this is not the end.
No,
we have so many more blessings coming, and so you got to understand that you got to broaden your horizon because this is not your only blessing.
Yes.
Whatever you're currently doing now is not the end.
No.
Because there's so many more blessings for us. So I want to encourage you to go get it and walk in your blessings.
Boldly
Go get it. Whatever you want to do. If you want to start your own business, if you want to do a daycare, if you want to do a lawnmower business, they make a lot of money.
Yes.
I pay this guy a lot of money to cut my grass, which I just started. I usually do it myself, but I got lazy. So there's a lawnmower business.
Using your time wisely.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, dear. Ma'am. And then have this lady. I'm gonna give her a shout out, Tanya Hilliard. She has a cleaning company, so she comes into the house, and I sent her to Danielle's as well, and she cleans the house, and so she has her own cleaning business.
Yes.
So I don't care if it's cleaning business. Because people like to get their houses clean when they don't have time.
Absolutely.
And sometimes I don't have time. So I call Tanya Hilliard and she comes over and she takes good care of me and Christina. And then there's the young man that cuts my grass. I mean, you can just start your own business and just get up and go get it and work through it. There are daycare centers that can be open.
Absolutely.
There's nothing that you can't do. There's nothing that you can't do, but you got to walk into your blessings, which means you have to get up and get it. And my sister Lynette had said something, and all the comments are going really fast, but she says it's time for us to get our inheritance.
Ooh, yes, ma'am. Don't make me shout up in here.
Lynette,
yes, with your name on it, Lynette. Yes, your name on it. Ah, I love it. He said an incorruptible inheritance. Store it up for you.
Yes.
Ooh, that's good news.
Lynette says it's time for us to walk into our inheritance. And so it's time for us to go get what belongs to us.
Yes, ma'am.
So don't sit down on that chair another day.
No.
And don't keep putting it off and keep putting it off and keep putting it off.
Yes.
You know what your gifts are. You know what's inside of you. You know what motivates you.
Yes.
It's that thing that you keep doing and it makes you feel good.
Yes.
And every time you do it, you feel really good.
Yes.
That's the indicator of this is what you need to be. This is what you need to be doing. Yes, Angela Halls Henry, it's time to walk into your blessings. And Lisa Halls Webbs, it's time for us. Nikki Stokes, it's time for us to walk into our blessings and just receive everything.
Absolutely.
We got to get up and go get it and just walk by faith. And that's what we've done. And that's what we'll continue to do.
Absolutely.
And this is what I love about it. And this is a secret, and I'm going to share with you guys.
All right.
He has never failed.
Whoo, girl.
His track record with me is good. He's not missed one day waking me up.
No, ma'am. No.
He has blessed us so tremendously. And it's funny because I'm just thinking about this, Danielle.
Yes.
When I started the prayer line, how long ago was it?
Yes. 4 years now?
4 years. Is it 4 years?
I believe so.
4 years.
Yes.
We do a Monday morning prayer call at 6:00 every Monday.
Yes.
And so I asked Danielle. This is before she became a pastor. I asked Danielle if if she'd be someone to pray, because I wanted somebody different every Monday, because I didn't want to do it every Monday. And so I've been blessed where I don't have to do it but 4 times a year. That was very brilliant of myself.
Yeah.
So Monday morning call at 6:00. If you're not busy, you can sign on and just listen to us, just bombard heaven on behalf of others like you did this morning. Oh my gosh. God. It was such a blessing. But I remember when I first asked you was like, what?
Right. I was like, girl, no. I'll read the scripture. Because you remember when you first started the prayer line, you would have someone to read the scripture. And then somebody else. I read the scripture all day long. I have been a reader for a very long time. That is my comfort zone. I am comfortable reading. But you wanted me to pray out loud for some people sustained time. And I was like, no. But then because you're my sister, I was like, okay. The same reason why I'm sitting here tonight.
Yeah, which is, and I was like, Danielle, listen, I understand if you don't want to do this. We're going to be good, you know, because you're my sister.
Right.
I'm going to tell you right now, if
Right.
it was me, I would not do it. Oh, I'm not getting ready to get on live and I don't have my face beat.
Right.
Danielle was like, well, you know, is it going to be easier for you? And I was like, well, I can just do it by myself, you know, and I understand you don't want to do it. She was like, I'll do it. Let me go check my curls. I was like, I wouldn't do it. If this was Danielle, she'd have been up here solo tonight. Janine wouldn't have been up here doing it. I'm just being honest. But
goodness.
you was like, you're my sister. Yeah, I'm not going to leave you hanging. I was like, we'd done 15, 20 minutes or something.
No, ma'am. But I remember what the Lord had me pray this morning about Respus Live.
What you talking about?
Okay. So one chain off the link don't stop anything.
Absolutely.
And the Lord says you sitting there and you are gifted and that's your sister. So you better do what you need to do. Absolutely.
And so what we did, it was like in less than 5 minutes,
Yes.
you know, Jamie was like, Danielle, you need to go on. So we got, you know, she came in here to sit behind the scene like she do every Monday. But look at how God had orchestrated this for you to be able to share your story. So there may be some young lady
Yeah.
that's out there that, or maybe a woman, a female preacher that, you know,
Yes.
that may be afraid to step out into, you know, being a
Absolutely.
pastor. And so hopefully
Absolutely.
you've encouraged her, whomever she is.
Yes.
Definitely not the kid, but anyway.
And I mean, it's been, oh my, it was 2006 when I heard the Lord say, teach my word.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first time I can say I heard God's voice. I knew it was him. And my answer was, I know you're not talking to me because I haven't even read the whole Bible. I just volunteered because my kids are down there and I got to make sure they're straight. And so that was in 2006. And the Lord kept saying, I'll provide. I'll provide. And when I went to pastor, he confirmed that he had seen the gift and the calling.
Wow.
And I was an answer to a prayer, but he had to wait on God to reveal it to me. I so appreciate that about him because it's God's doing. But that was 2006. This is 2019. Sharon, sometimes the blessing takes some tarrying. The blessing takes some work. The blessing takes some tears and some crying and some pressing. And when he called me to preach in 2010, I was like, oh no, I just got right comfortable teaching your word. We're good. And I dodged that for almost a year. And then ordination. But in the midst of all of that, he was calling me to divinity school. And I kept saying, I am a single mother. I got 2 children. One's getting ready to go to college. I already have 2 degrees. How am I supposed to pay for and send and find the time while I work full time? But God, as he is with his relentless self, because remember, he said he's ordered every single one of our days before we live one.
Yes.
And he knows what's on the hash line of the timeline and where you need to be when. So he won't leave you alone. And so I drove up and down I-40 to I-95 for 3 years, Tuesday and Thursday, 4 hours round trip, and sat in classes and worked on Wednesday and Fridays. So just because you see where I am, and we know it's a blessing, but God's been blessing all along the way to prepare me to step into this blessing. And so whatever female preacher is out there, or a young girl who knows that there is something on the inside of her and God is calling her to proclaim his word and his good news, all I can tell you is listen to God. Make sure you get some good folk who know God and who encourage and cheerlead God, and they will speak life into you. I can't tell you how many people have called the gifts that I didn't know I had.
Yeah.
And they continue to call them. And you do that, and all of that is God setting you up to walk into your blessing. So then you can look back and say, now he set me up.
Yeah.
He's put it all in me.
Absolutely.
Now it's my turn. I've got to decide if I'm going to step into it or not.
Right. So Lynette says, I think we worry too much about our flaws, and it hinders us from freely doing anything for God when it's the flaws that qualifies
Yes,
us in the first place. You better preach, Deborah
Yes.
Lynette.
Yes,
She says it
ma'am.
is the flaws that qualify us in the first place. And Sonia Oates says that it is important to wait for God to
Yes,
reveal
ma'am,
to
Sonia.
us what it
Yes.
is he wants us to do.
Yes.
That is
Yes.
so imperative to
Do
wait.
not run ahead.
Let me tell
My
you
Lord.
something. And I say this all the time. I tell people all the time, especially when they come to me and they talk to me and ask me questions about divorce. I said, don't make a move without
Yes,
God
ma'am.
because
Yes.
you're going to need him every step of the way.
Yes.
And so in life, it is imperative that we don't make a move without him.
Not a single
Whether it's a
one.
career move,
Yes.
a relationship move,
Yes.
any type of move, because we need him every step of the way.
Yes.
And so when we move without him and don't wait for him to reveal to
Whew.
us what he wants us to do, then
Yes.
we're in a bad predicament. As my
Yes.
pastor said, that's a bad commentary. But Lynette, I totally agree with
Yes,
you
ma'am.
that we worry about our flaws and because honestly, it keeps us from doing what God has us to do. But we have to remember that's what makes us,
Yes.
what makes us, it makes him able to utilize us as he takes our flaws and the things that has happened to us that
Yes.
were, really bad or difficult for us.
Yes.
But then we can use it to be a blessing to someone else.
Absolutely.
So walking into your blessing, you're the first female pastor in this association. How old is that association?
147.
147 years.
Yes.
First female pastor.
Church 123 years.
So the church you pastor is 123 years old.
Yes.
And the first female pastor. That had to be like really cool, to say the least.
Yeah.
Have you had time to kind of like soak that in?
I haven't. I get a few moments here or there, a couple of glimpses here and there, and I go, who in the world would have ever thought? And I look back and I know what I wanted, what I said I wanted to be, what I was going to do. And I was 15 and I was going to be a lawyer and I was going to have a 2-seater convertible Mercedes and I was going to be a bachelorette. I had learned that was a new word at that time. And I had mapped out my house. I was going to be able to drive my car into my house and park it on the parking pad in the house, not a garage. Yes. Those were the things that was my dream, my vision. But the whole time people were telling me, you're going to be a teacher, because I was correcting grammar even then. And that was dangerous because you get popped in the mouth.
Absolutely.
But it just came so naturally. And so to think about that and to be here now, one, just a few glimpses of excitement every now and then, but then the weight, the responsibility of caring for God's people and handling his word. And I think, I know you know me well enough by now. A lot of people just say I don't play. But when it comes to God's word and God's people, or anything, you know, and lately it's been referred to as I'm just gangster. But, with women.
That is so funny. And I want to say something so bad, but I'm going to wait. No. It is so funny.
But I think that's the other thing as a woman, and especially as a female pastor, because you have to be who you are. And I know for so many times that's what I love about our friendship and our sisterhood is I can be free.
Absolutely.
I can be me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the me scares some folk.
Yes.
And so I shrink back.
Yeah.
Out of kindness and care for them.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. It is refreshing to have that sistership and that friendship where you can be yourself.
Absolutely.
And so people, they have no clue, especially when it comes to me. I guess I just fool people by the way I look.
Right.
I have no idea. But to understand how crazy I am and how I have, I love to have a good time and how wild I am. And people are like, is she like that for real?
Right.
And so I had to do one of my girlfriends from work came over to the house. Remember, we had the cookout. And so before the cookout, I was like, this is what I want you to understand. This is not the same work sharing you get when you come over here. I don't have much here, but I let it down and I enjoy life. And it's so refreshing to be able to have a sister where you can let your hair down and you can enjoy yourself. you still understand the anointing on my life.
Yes, ma'am.
You still understand the call on my life.
And it does not change it.
And it does not change it.
Yes.
But unfortunately, everyone doesn't understand that. So we have to be careful, and we're not being fake, and we're not being phony.
Exactly.
We're just protecting, because the Bible says if meat offend your brother,
that's it.
Don't eat it.
And don't become a stumbling block for another believer.
Absolutely.
So I'm willing to die to self.
Absolutely.
Whew, to help you get to Jesus.
Yes.
Yes. So if that means that I need to shrink back, I need to soften it down, I'll do it.
So you don't need to show everybody your gangster side.
No.
That's what I was trying to get at.
No,
Yeah.
And I don't. Well,
you just told everybody. Look, it's like 36 people watching. She's gangster, y'all.
Well, and I was getting to a point.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
What I love about First Baptist Church of Teaching is I have been able to be all of me. And they receive it. They love it. I secretly see some women in the background cheering like, yeah, get it. I see some men going, whoa, she's powerful.
Yes.
And it's okay.
People love real.
Yes.
That's why I love Macedonia.
Yes.
Pastor Henry is real, and
Absolutely.
he keeps it real and relevant. And I love that. And when you're real and people see it and they love it.
They do.
They love you at First Baptist Church Teaching because you're real.
Absolutely.
And it is good to see real. Sonia has a question. She says, how do we teach our child or children to understand how to boldly walk into their blessings? I put an S on it, Sonia, because there's more than one, especially for your baby.
Absolutely. The first thing we need to do is we need to help them recognize their gifts. They need to learn how to be comfortable in their skin and accept who they are.
That's good.
And everything that they are.
Yeah.
And then they need to know that because the Lord knit them that way, they don't need to apologize to anybody for being who they are. So then they have to build up the confidence in knowing that they're not going to be everybody's cup of tea. And it's okay. And sometimes they're going to have to walk alone. I've been there so many times. And you think that's the worst place to be, but I can tell you sometimes that is the absolute best place to be.
Absolutely.
Because that's when God begins to hone things, and that's when God helps you fall in love with you. And so we need to help them fall in love with themselves.
And that consists of, and it kind of goes, I don't know if I made it clear, kind of go back to what I was saying about embracing who you are and understand that you're beautiful and that you're amazing and that you're spectacular and that you're unique and that there's only one you and it's perfectly okay.
Yes.
And so it is so important for us to teach especially our young girls and our young guys as well, that they can accept who they are and be okay with it and not shrink or downplay their gifts. And so I think, Sonia, that is another way we can teach them to understand who they are.
Yes.
And as you say, understand their gifts.
Yes.
And then let them understand. Just boldly go get it. Just
walk in it.
And then what is most important, for them to see us do it.
Yes.
It is so important that Christina sees me walk boldly, because I can tell her to walk boldly until my mouth falls off my face. But when she sees her mother walking boldly, and one day it was funny because Miss West said, Sharon, did you notice that Christina walks like you? I said, Miss West, I've never paid any attention. And it's amazing how they watch you and watch how you interact with people and what you do. And so it is good for her to see me walk boldly in my gift. It is good for her to see me at the table 1:00 in the morning doing homework and let her see the importance of school. It is good for her to see me doing Respus Live, because I want her to understand that there are no limits.
None.
And I keep telling people the sky is not the limit. There are no limits, Danielle.
The Lord created the universe, honey.
Yes.
It takes a telescope to see some of it, and it's what's known to man. So that doesn't mean that's the end of it. That just means that's what man is able to see. And so as long as the Lord is the Lord of the universe, there are no limits to what he has called his beloved children to be able to do.
Pam said, Pamela Marshburn Evans. Thank you, Pam, for signing on. She says, nobody like being around you if you have to walk on eggshells.
Yes, ma'am.
But everyone can't handle the real.
Amen.
That is so true, Pam.
Amen.
That is so true. And we have to understand that. So that's why we have to adapt and adjust to our environment. Everybody can't deal with the real Danielle.
No.
They can't deal with the real Sharon. And I understand that. So then we
take care of them.
Yeah.
We make adjustments. We take care of them because we operate in the fruit of the Spirit.
Absolutely.
Gentleness and kindness and patience. and then we pay for them. Yes.
Yes, exactly right.
Yes.
And then we just find time to enjoy each other and
Absolutely.
let our hair down and so one of the things that Danielle and I do, or some of the things, we try to go out to eat once
Every other week.
Every other week. We are strategic about that.
Yes.
We try to put it on our calendar. And then when we don't want to go anywhere, we'll go on the patio.
Yes.
And we'll turn on some music and we'll sit out there in the hammocks and we'll just laugh and enjoy each other. And then sometimes we even get in the garage and lift the garage open, turn some music on, and just sit there and talk and just enjoy life. And we're at the point now we understand it doesn't take a whole lot to enjoy yourself and to enjoy your friendships. And we encourage each other in those times and we minister to each other.
Absolutely.
So whenever I'm down or Danielle's down, or sometimes we get in a rocking chair on the front porch and we cry it out.
Yes, ma'am.
And sometimes we just cry it out because both of our noses get red when we get ready to cry. So if we see a red nose, we already know what kind of day it is.
Yes.
And so I can't help it when my nose get red. And so there are times that we'll go to breakfast and I'll end up crying the entire time and you just minister to me. And then there's time where I just minister to you. And that's the type of friendship that we have. But that helps us to walk into our blessings.
Absolutely.
We push each other. You got to make sure you surround yourself with people that push you and to understand that you're walking in your blessings and you can't quit. You know, you can't quit. There's not an option. So we need people to push us into our blessings and make sure you surround yourself with amazing people that first of all understand your gifts, that allow you to walk in them without being jealous and insecure and all that stuff. Because you know what? This world is so huge that we can all operate in our gifts and everybody can win.
And everybody still gets to be themselves,
exactly,
get their blessings and expand the universe.
Yes.
Everybody.
Absolutely. Like today, that day, and we're going to wrap up soon. I think Jamie has given me the clue because you know Jamie and Danielle can talk forever.
Yeah.
So the day of your installation service.
Yes.
Is that what it's called? Installation?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that day it was spectacular. So many people there, and I was just super excited because this was history being made. And you looked amazing, and you were just walking in your giftedness, and you were just walking in who you were and how confident you were. And so afterwards, I said, Danielle, I noticed something. I noticed that there was a difference about you that night. I said, what I want you to do, I want you to continue to walk the same way you walked that night.
Yes.
In the area that you know who you are. And so I push my sister and I push her because sometimes I don't think you know how amazing you are. And you I'm like, for real.
No.
You don't understand this.
No.
You know, I'm the one that can't comprehend simple things. And you already know that about me. Don't laugh. And so simple things are really hard for me to understand. And you have to be my friend or Christina to understand that. Christina, like, mommy, for real, you don't understand that? Well, no, I don't understand it. Really? So simple things are hard for me to comprehend. I'm sorry, but you give me something complicated, I got that. I can make all A's in my classes, but don't tell me something simple. Ooh. So pray for me.
Yes.
So, you know, I'm looking like, you don't understand this because I'm the one that don't understand stuff like that.
Right.
But it's like you couldn't understand that.
And when you said that to me, it wasn't until you said it to me.
Mind you, I said it with tears in my eyes.
Right.
I was saying it with tears in my eyes. So I wanted you to feel it from the heart.
And it brought tears to my eyes because I realized at that point, and so going back to Sonia's question, so much of what I didn't realize about my strengths came from how I grew up and my family interactions and even my marriage. I was applauded for being smart and for doing well and those things, but it was categorized. It was put in certain boxes. There were limits.
Oh,
and, you know, it was once said that, well, she's not really smart. She just works hard, you know.
Got you.
And so those things are internalized. And I didn't realize how strong I was or my gifts or, and you know, people always say, well, you walk so confidently and everything. I've learned how to do it.
Yes.
It doesn't necessarily mean there's a confidence on the inside. But so thinking as a mother and as a teacher, I'm so careful now to speak those deep things like it is defined fact that you can't dispute it or anything else. When I look at children, or for instance, Camille texted me the other day and she told me that they were doing something different at work and she and another person had been chosen by the manager. And I said, God is opening doors for you because you are powerful and you are bright and you communicate like nobody's business, and people see it. So I want you to go ahead and start thinking now about what else you want to do, because they're going to ask you. And so that's what we have to do for our children. We have to start helping them with the thought process of thinking ahead to the blessing, getting prepared for the blessing. And she said, Mommy, I hadn't even thought about that. I said, I want you to have an answer when they ask you, what else would you like to do in this company? And so no one ever did that for me.
Got you.
And so everything has kind of just been revealed along the way. And then God has blessed me with dear, like I said, my tribe who speak life into me and don't mind celebrating me and showing me what you see in me and applauding my strengths, and then even confirming my strengths by calling on me for something. Like I said, I'm like, why in the world does Sharon call me? And then I go, I guess I must be pretty smart.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're pretty smart. So that day when we had that conversation, and I share with you how beautiful it was to see you that way, and to see you walk in the fullness of confidence in every area, and to understand how amazing you are. And I said, I wanted to challenge you to keep that walk.
Yes.
And it wasn't to say that you didn't walk in confidence.
Right.
But that day, it was every area of your life. It came like a full circle.
Yes.
You know, it reminds me of the conversation we had outside about the circle.
Ma'am.
And so to see that, it was so beautiful. I was just sitting there just smiling, and I was just so excited. And I was like, I can't wait to share this with her. And so from that day to this, I do believe that you received that.
Yeah.
And that you're now walking in your blessing, walking into everything that you are, and knowing how awesome and amazing you are. And it is okay to be awesome. It is okay to be amazing. It is okay. It is perfectly okay. I like what Stephanie Bloodworth says. She says, my mother always told me everyone does not deserve a seat at your table.
Girl.
Oftentimes we need to revisit who is at our table.
Yes, ma'am.
Stephanie Bloodworth, you better speak tonight.
Yes, you can't give everybody access.
You can't. And then she says we have to revisit who is at the table.
Yes.
Pam Marshman Evans says, it is important to nourish and fellowship with each other as women. It is necessary, but sadly not done enough. Pam, that's why we're strategic about our time together.
Ma'am.
We make time for each other.
Be intentional.
You have to be intentional. We schedule time to be together and to hang out and to talk and to let our hair down and just keep it real. If I need to cry, I can cry. If I need to laugh, I can laugh.
Absolutely.
And then Lynette says, it is the enemy that does not want you to understand, because you will do and will be unstoppable. Wow. So he doesn't want us to understand how awesome we are and to walk in the fullness. Because we can walk in our blessings, but not in the fullness of it. You have been walking in your blessings for years, but that day it was like every single one of them. I'm walking. You came in, you got it, girl.
And can I tell you, and just being girl real, and as Lynette says, and it was in that moment that it didn't matter to me how big my stomach was, or if my curls were right or not, or if I had on makeup or not. So sometimes, even though we are confident and we tell ourselves, I don't care what people think about me, it's those flaws that will cause us to kind of shrink back because we aren't happy with ourselves, our physical appearance on the outside. But it was in that moment that I was like, you know what? This is me. This is all of me, beautiful, bold, and proud. And I'm going to walk in here in this magenta dress, and I'm going to rock it.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
And again, that is so important. And as you said it, Lynette told us that we have to take our flaws. And to us, it could be a flaw. But to someone else, it's beautiful.
Absolutely.
And so it depends on how the person is perceiving it and looking at it.
Yes.
So that's why we have to look at ourselves. And time changed, and we're getting older, and things change.
Yes, ma'am.
But even as we grow and as we become seasoned, we still enjoy who we are.
Yes.
And make the necessary changes if possible. And then if not, we just go with it and enjoy every bit of it.
Exactly.
Pam Marshman Evans also said it is the trick of the enemy for us not to understand or tap into our power. And that is so true, Pam. We have to tap into our power and understand how amazing we are. So again, we just want to encourage everyone and thank you guys for staying on. Thank you for signing on late with us. And again, Commissioner Barfield could not make it tonight because he was in a meeting, but he does apologize to our viewers, and hopefully we'll be able to get him back on. And I am so grateful for my girl stepping in tonight. As I stated, she has been here behind the scene every episode except for one. I think you were on vacation.
Yeah, I texted,
and she texted. She was texting back and forth while she was on vacation. That's my sister. And so typically she's over there in the corner just hanging out, just texting me and ask this question, Sharon, ask this question. And so tonight she was put on the spot and she came through. And so this is how we end up with Walking in Your Blessings idea of Jamie's, of course, my amazing producer. And so thank you all for signing on. Thank you for hanging on with us with the technical difficulties with the internet.
And the questions.
And
statements.
Yes, the statements and the questions. We gratefully appreciate those. And we pray that something has been said to encourage you to get up and walk into your blessings. Every single one of them. I have said it before and I'll say it again. I want everything. I want everything that the Lord has for me. Every single thing. If it has my name on it, I want it. I want it. And typically I give my guests a shirt. So I guess I'll give you a shirt later. I'll give her a shirt later. And so, again, we want to thank our sponsor. Our new sponsor is Cumberland County Christian School. My brother, James Respus, and Dr. Jessica Respus are the owners of the school. And we're most graciously, we're proud of them. And Jessica, she will be a guest on our show in November.
Awesome.
Yes, and we're grateful to have her, Dr. Respus, on. And remember to walk into your blessings and that love is powerful. I also want to give a shout out to A&A Promotions. They do the intro.
Yes.
So I talked to Antron. I said, Antron, I want some music. I want a little beat. And I love what he's done. He and the A&A production.
Yeah, makes you move.
It makes you move. And Makeup by Drea. I go by every Monday. We have a standing appointment. And my sister told me, she's so sweet. My sister Aretha, we was talking before the show. And I told her I wanted to have all my sisters on. And I just want to tell y'all, when I have all my sisters on, y'all just better be ready. I'm just telling you right now. If I can get all my...
Do we have a bleep button?
We're not going to bleep Pam out. I'm telling you right now, we're not bleeping Pam out. When my sister come on this show, I'm telling you right now, if you just be careful.
It's not G-rated.
Yes. So I was talking to my sisters, Pamela and Aretha, today. They were calling on me about the show tonight, and they're so supportive. My sisters are my family is so supportive. I see my mom is on. I see my sister Jessica's on, and James is on. I thank God for my family. And even on the prayer line, my mom was on this morning, and my sisters are on. And it's just so good to be supported by your family. And so my sister said I was spoiled, and I can't say that I'm not, but I thank you guys for spoiling me, not with material things, but they've spoiled me with love. And so I was talking to Aretha today, and she was saying, well, Sharon, you don't need all that makeup on. I love my sister. And I was like, well, I think it looks professional. Pam say, I tell you what, Sharon, I love Pam. She said, you do what you do and don't pay them any attention. You go ahead and do Respus Live like you want to do it and don't worry about what they say.
And that's how you walk in your blessings right there.
So Pam taught me this evening to walk in my blessings however I want to. It. And I thank Rita for
we
what
don't
Rita
need to get permission.
And what Rita was saying was that her baby sister was beautiful enough without makeup.
That's right.
And I was like, but I like it because I look professional. Pam said, don't change nothing about that. You just keep doing what you're doing. So I just want to encourage somebody to keep doing what you're doing and walk into your blessings and make sure that you have a supporting system behind you, pushing you. And listen, if you don't have friends that support you, please find you some more friends, because they're not really friends.
This is the definition of iron sharpening iron.
Absolutely.
Right here. This is what this is the definition. You need an illustration. This is it.
Yeah. And this is a definition of love is powerful, for you to love me enough to come on the show.
Absolutely.
Because had this been Glaze Live, I wouldn't have been sitting over there. I can tell you that right now. I'd be like, girl, I ain't got no. It's so I appreciate you coming, but this is her.
But I'm doing what you told me to do.
Absolutely. So y'all pray for me.
I am walking in my confidence.
Yes, as you should. And you're beautiful, just as you are.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't have done it, but that's just me. I love it. So again, thank you so much for signing on tonight.
Yes.
If you would like to be a sponsor of Respus Live, please inbox me at Podcast South or just send me a text or email, and we would love to have you sponsor the show. And so again, we thank all of our sponsors. We thank Pastor Danielle Glaze for coming on the show tonight.
Thank you.
She is a dear friend of mine, and we go way back. And
Yes.
I always say we down like two flat tires, and that's truly what we've been,
Yes.
and we've encouraged each other throughout the years. I have been blessed with amazing friends. I have two of the very best friends in the world, and then God gave me some additional friends that are sisters. And you know, blood makes you relative,
Ooh.
but love makes you family.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm grateful for our family, and
Amen.
thankful that
Me
you're
too.
our family. So thank you
Yes.
again for coming on. And again, don't you forget to walk into your blessings. Every
Yes.
single one of them, I want you to get up. Because walking is an action word. It's
Yes.
a verb.
You gotta
I want you
move.
to get up and go get every blessing that
Every
has your
single
name on
one.
it.
Don't leave anything on the table.
Anything. Just like when
Yes.
we was in those fields, picking them beans and stuff.
Yes,
and grandma,
ma'am.
don't you leave none of them beans on that vine. Don't you leave one of your blessings out.
Not
you
a
go get
single one.
every single one of them. And again, thank you so much for signing on. Thank you guys for hanging on with us. Thank you for coming on late with us. And we just appreciate your love and support. You have been amazing.
Yes.
And thank my guest again, Danielle Glaze. And this has
Love
been
you, sis.
Respus Live. I love you too. And may his peace be with each of you until we meet again. God bless you. Thank you, Daniela. Thank you, darling.
We did it.
Yes, we did. And we did it well.
Hey.